Hi everyone, my name is Tom Richard. Welcome to Kissimmee, Florida, to the Kissimmee Air Museum and Warbird Adventures. And we just brought in jet race number 1 sitting behind us here. And this is the airplane we're bringing to Reno this year, 2011. I started flying at 16 in gliders in Europe. When I got to the United States at the tender age of 17 in California, I learned to fly powered airplanes and bounced around the country for a while, doing different flying jobs, and ended up in Florida. Started a T6 flight school with my partner. My day job is flying at 1940s vintage T6s and teaching people how to turn upside down and how to handle these World War II relics. We also have a small helicopter flight school here in Kissimmee, and we host the Kissimmee Air Museum in our facility on the northwest corner of Kissimmee Airport, and get more and more into the racing habit. Air racing is something I've been wanting to do forever. I think I came to Reno the first time in 1990 after I arrived in the U.S. and realized that that's what I needed to aspire to do. It took all the way to 2008 before I started racing. Started in the Formula One class, purchased Miss USA a few years ago. I raced that in the silver class for a couple of years and ended up getting sponsored and flew Invictus, which we fortunately took gold with in 2009. After which we retired from the Formula One. Now we're in the jet class. Flew jet race number 3 pole dancer last year, and this year is going to be jet race number 1, the one behind me. Well, we took Miss USA, which was a stock cassette. She had, I think her best placement was 2nd in the silver, and we were fortunate enough to end up 7th in the gold. That impressed my neighbor, Tim Newbert of Newbert Aerocorp. He had an airplane that needed a pilot, so he wanted to have me race both airplanes the following year in 2009. And that worked out really well. My team and I put in an ungodly amount of hours to make the airplanes fast, and it worked out. We ended up winning the silver with Miss USA and the gold with Invictus, which I was told by the historians had never been done before in the Formula One class. So we were very, very pleased. We were pleased to the point where we decided that there's no way we could ever do it again, and therefore we retired on top, and so nobody could ever beat us. So it was time to move on to something bigger and faster. Winning the gold in Reno, that took a long time to sink in. I did not understand what we had done until probably months afterwards, really, and still look back and think that it really didn't take place. We pulled it off, and it was really all thanks to the team putting in all the hours on the airplane. All I was doing was flying around in circles. When Invictus came to me, it was already a very fast airplane. However, we realized in order to beat Endeavor, which is the fastest Formula One, we had to do an awful lot of work. We put an easy 400 hours into that airframe in a matter of a couple of months to bring it to Reno in 2009 to make it happen. And we were just extremely lucky that everything just clicked right. The engine was running absolutely perfect. The airframe had no problems. The team, of course, was there and did everything that was necessary. And it was a real surprise when we managed to beat an airplane that was technically 12 miles an hour faster than us. The aircraft behind me is a TS-11 Iskra. Iskra is Polish for spark. It was a frontline fighter trainer in the Polish Air Force. And these days, in the United States, they're really handy for racing. So we have a few of them that we're bringing this year, and hopefully it'll add to the excitement. My sponsor in Formula One that owned Invictus, he had expressed the wish of racing the jet class. I didn't realize it was a goal that we could accomplish in such a short period. We started with a clean slate in the jet class, not knowing what to get. Since we're not really jet people, we had to learn the ropes step by step. So the obvious thing was to look at the top of the jet class, see what they were flying. And they were operating, L-29s with very large Rolls-Royce engines. And we figured, well, that might be the way to go. But we were looking for alternatives, and Tim actually had fallen in love with the look of the Iskra, and I didn't know much about it. I thought it was a bit of a runway hog and not much of an airplane that would go fast. However, once we took all the weight out of one and tweaked the engine up to the standard of the class, it turns out the thing was pretty quick. Yeah, the Iskra flew in the jet class for the first time last year. We managed to get it approved per the 2 major rules being no afterburner and less than 15 degrees of wing sweep. Basically anything should qualify, but there are some safety considerations, and you got to make sure the aircraft's accepted and suitable for what we're doing. A very small percentage of the Reno crowd, including the audience, had any idea what an Iskra was. Now all of a sudden, after placing 7th in the gold the first year, it's on the map. I would like to say the Iskra probably turned more heads than any other aircraft in the jet class. It's the little jet that could. I think in order for an Iskra to win Reno, it would take somewhere between voodoo and some other type of black magic. and an awful lot of JATO bottles, afterburners, etc. It would take an awful lot of power to make that happen.
Is that possible?
Well, anything's possible. It's racing, right?
Do you have your eyes on that?
Of course. Well, you're always aiming at the win, right? There has to be a little bit of skunk works involved with these things, because then otherwise other teams would steal your ideas, right? We're always thinking. You always want to go faster. We set 2 goals for the week, and that was to be the fastest rookie team in Reno, which we were, to beat all stock L39s, because all the big jet guys, they always thought that the Iskra didn't have much in it, but it turns out it was a little quicker than they expected. There is a pretty big difference between the silver and the gold heat in the jet class. There's a big airspeed spread. The lowest qualifier in the gold class last year turned 370 miles an hour, and the fastest was 543. So it's a much larger spread than probably any other class. Entry speed down the chute in the silver class is significantly lower than the entry speed on the gold class. For example, when I ended up flying in the silver heat, we ended up in the front of the heat, and we ended up winning and then advancing into the gold heat, and I was in the back of the heat for the start, and once we got down the chute, everybody else just left us. So we had no chance of keeping up with any of the modified airframes. I started in the last position after having moved up from the silver heat with Mike Mangold right next to me. I've never seen a jet accelerate so fast. He completely left us in the dust. And then I worked my way up and got around an L39, and we ended up in 7th place. But not before we were lapped by Mike and, of course, Kurt Brown in the 2 fast Viper-powered L29s. Well, the goal this year is obviously to go faster. We don't want to have the embarrassment of being lapped by the big boys. And we're going to prove to the world that the Iskra is more of an airplane than anybody would ever expect it to be. My sponsor in the jet class last year, the owner of Pole Dancer Jet Race 3, he got so excited about the races last year that he decided to sign up and race the jets himself. So I'm checking him out right now, and in the meantime, I have purchased my own airplane, which is sitting here behind me, and we'll be coming there together. In addition, we also have 3 other friends with Iskras that are showing up, so it'll be a very Iskra-rich field this year.